And the YNW Melly murder trial is deadlocked, which means they're struggling to all agree unanimously to a verdict of not guilty or guilty. The jurors wrote in on a note today saying, "What if we can't come to a decision? Everyone is stuck on which side they choose." Then the judge John Murphy brought the jury back into the courtroom and read them the Allen charge, which refers to a set of instructions urging jurors to reach a verdict. Today was the first full day of the jury deliberating. It didn't really go well. They asked a few questions that didn't make sense. It just didn't look too good. Hit subscribe right now. Let's get into this video.
That's an interesting haircut, chat. I ain't gonna lie, I never seen no cut like that, bro.
I had a question. The question reads, where can we find the call log?
It's like a mullet, but like it's got swag to it, bro. Like, y'all feel me, chat? Like, it's a mullet, but it's got swag to it.
Of the 9807 number. We hear Mr. Kelly testimony, Trayvon Glass, Cortland Sutherland.
They said Courtney Sutherland. Pretty sure that person did not testify. So this jury's a little confused.
My notes, am I missing something on Courtney Sutherland?
Your Honor, there were 27 witnesses that testified, no one by that name. For the statement of Cortland Henry,
Oh, they're definitely thinking about Cortland Henry, but how did they get the name that wrong? They've sat through 5 weeks of a trial and heard the name Cortland Henry probably 75 times.
read them, a list of the witnesses that testified, ask you the name.
Any suggestions from the defense?
Maybe ask what they think this Courtney Sutherland testified to, and based on the basis of the testimony, we could probably figure out which witness it was.
I would suggest the
5 weeks? That's like me studying for class. I'm not gonna lie, bro. This is the YNW murder trial. They can't come to a verdict, so they don't know if he's guilty or if he's innocent. And I think he's gonna get off, I'm not gonna lie. But the jury doing these last questions and whatnot to figure out what they find him.
respond back that there is no witness by the name.
If it's too loud, let me know so I can turn it down.
Southern.
Counsel, I would just say, please clarify Courtney Sutherland by that name. Is that all right with the state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes.
What about the call log?
So that is on States 63.
How long to give Mr. Kelly's testimony ready?
Probably not till tomorrow.
Probably not till tomorrow. And on Trayvon Glass, you're ready to go on that, correct?
Yes, Judge.
On the question, where can we find the call logs of the 9807 number I indicated, please refer to State's Exhibit number 63. And below that it says, can we hear Mr. Kelly's testimony of Trayvon Glass, Courtney Sutherland? I said, please clarify, Courtney Sutherland did not testify. Trayvon Glass's testimony can be read back today. Michael Kelly's testimony needs to be prepared to read back probably tomorrow. Any objection?
No.
So they gotta reread the whole thing, bro? That does not make sense, bro. 5 weeks though, of me having to hear all this information, I'm not gonna lie, I would probably not know who they were talking about either. I'm only probably gonna remember significant names, and if I butcher the name, so what? I'm gonna be honest. Like, they probably ready to go home, probably ready to get over with. They just throw a name down.
Definitely confusing how they mistake someone's name completely that didn't exist in the trial. Probably gonna read back Trayvon Glass's testimony real quick.
Courtney Sutherland should have been Cortland Henry. Trayvon Glass, we would like to have his testimony read back. Michael Kelly, we would like to have his testimony read back.
With respect to the reading back of the testimony, our position is that testimony is comprised not only of its substance. When we are in a fortunate situation such as this, where the entire testimony is captured on video camera, we think it would be more appropriate for the jury to either be told to rely upon their recollection, because even though their recollection would be incomplete, it would be comprehensive. They'll be recalling not only what was said, but the manner in which the person testified.
Oh,
Right.
okay. A good point.
Like Trayvon Glass.
Exactly, because if they read a small amount of the testimony, they're not gonna encompass the whole thing that happened. They're gonna get ideas based upon whoever wrote it down into this small, basically like a summary of the testimony, like not the emotions, not the facial expressions, or stuff like that really do matter.
In particular, who was hiding behind the monitor for half of his testimony, and then hiding deliberately behind his dreadlocks for the rest of his testimony. I think his testimony is going to look a whole lot better on paper than it did when it was delivered. The best evidence of his testimony was captured on videotape, and the jury would be able to see it because it would be devoid of its context, but be shown.
And the way he answered that everyone that was in the car was the same people that were in the car when they left the studio, there's a lot of emotion to that answer. Like, he seemed annoyed answering that one. So I think that's a big point there.
Mr. Glass and Kelly both came to the same question, and subsequent to that, we received a note that indicates that there may be factions that are beginning to calcify. We can only speculate as to what the jury is thinking and saying. But I think it's unequivocal. The substance of Mr. Glass's testimony favored the state. It is also unequivocal that Mr. Kelly made some concessions that essentially his analysis had defects and he really couldn't draw the conclusions that he was attempting to draw. So one can surmise that maybe that might be more favorable to the defense. If we have a jury that's now divided into factions and one side is sending for information that might support their argument, another side is sending for information that might support their argument, then I think it would be unfair if we allow one side of that faction to get their ammunition and wait another 24 hours before the other side is able.
Yeah, so basically Mr. Kelly's testimony won't be ready for until tomorrow, but they could read back Trayvon Glass's testimony today. Trayvon's testimony was kind of in favor of the state, obviously, and Mr. Kelly's was in favor of the defense, so he's saying he doesn't want them to be 24 hours apart, because then it's a whole 24-hour period of them thinking about Trayvon Glass's testimony.
So we think it would be prejudicial because we got both requests in the same questionnaire or same question shown back as opposed to be read back. And secondly, we think that it should be done at the same time so that both sides, assuming they're provoked for different sides, are equipped with the ammunition they need when they go back and deliberations continue.
Glasses, read back. My understanding is testimony is relatively short. I'm going to read that back now. She's working on Mr. Kelly, and when that's available, I'll show you Mr. Kelly as well. You're good. Notes over.
Thanks, sir.
You bring jury.
That a readback cannot reflect the matters of demeanor, tone, or voice. That the jury be reminded a readback.
Did he watch this whole trial? Like, there's no way he watched the whole trial, bro.
It's not a complete account of the testimony because it doesn't account for manner, tone, voice.
It'd be pretty nice if they could get rid of the goddamn AC unit that you can hear in the background at all times.
Particularly with respect to Mr. Glass hiding behind the monitor and behind his ear, we think that it's important that the jury be reminded that tone, manner, and comportment during testimony are also important in their assessment of credit.
The live stream, not in evidence, to play back to jury. Either the difference. That's first thing. Secondly, regarding the witness, my recollection was you said he's hiding behind it. My understanding is you asked him, or somebody asked him a question about it and said he's blind in one eye. I thought that was the issue. He's blind in his left eye. But regardless, I'm sure it's in the transcript.
He was not blind in that eye. That was because the camera was angled from that way.
Question: when you got to the house gate at Melly's house, who was inside your vehicle, the red Mitsubishi? Answer: same people you've seen get in the car. Question: by your testimony, Cody, AD, Tay, and yourself? Answer: yes. Question: okay, so still 4 people.
It ain't looking good, chat. If they gotta repeat the whole thing over just by the paper, bro, that's whack, bro. Like, that's not fair. So either side, I feel like it should be fair. Cause should be able to watch the testimony, not read it, not to be read by somebody that could objectify, or it could be objective. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be, the emotions can be spread differently, but upon the way that they read it.
Answer: still 4 people.
That's the bombshell statement right there. But he answered that looking very annoyed. I think that's what Melly's team wanted to get across, the emotion and how he answered in the tone, but they weren't able to do that because that statement completely contradicts what Adrian Davis said. First look at Melly today. He's looking a little bit more wired.
Thank you.
Those phones, they've been quite the headache in this case. And so, yeah, I think it's just common sense, unless he's trying to hide something, why not turn over that phone?
Says, are we allowed to have Apple Watches? Someone has one.
One of them got an Apple Watch?
What if we can't come to a decision? Question mark. Everyone is stuck on which side they chose. Signed by the equal person.
What? They just said, what if we can't come to a decision? Everyone's stuck on their own sides. Oh, there might be a hung jury. I had a feeling this was going to happen and there was going to be a few people that thought differently than everyone else, like 3 to 5 of them.
My understanding of how Apple Watch works, at least how mine works, is that there has to be some proximity to a phone for it to provide access to it. I don't know if I'm wrong.
Their version said no.
All right, so I guess we need to inquire. We identify who it is, we just retrieve it and keep it.
It depends. It depends on what type of, if you have cellular or if it's just Wi-Fi.
It doesn't say necessarily bring them out and single them out and expose them as a snitch. And I think we're jumping the gun by suggesting that if we find that somebody had an Apple Watch, they need to be removed from the room. The Apple Watch needs to be removed from the room. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so we concur with that.
So neither side wants to remove the juror that had the Apple Watch. And apparently another juror, like, snitched on them. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have gotten involved if I was a juror, but...
Would be for the court to inquire if anybody does.
What is the point, bro? Like, you making this take way longer.
Have an Apple Watch. When they go back to the room, please give it to Gary, as opposed to them being cascaded in front of the public.
I still need to know, though, if somebody has a watch and they give it to Gary, I need to know, make sure they haven't used it.
They're obviously trying to make sure this guy didn't use the internet and look at anything or talk to anyone through email or on his Apple Watch or anything.
And so, in order to preserve our objection, I would not propose that, but I would move for mistrial on that basis.
I'm editing this right now real quick. I wanted to explain why he's moving for a mistrial, because the jury wanted Trayvon's testimony to be read back and they got it instantly pretty much. And then they withdrew and didn't want Mr. Kelly's testimony anymore. They heard
Don't make no
Glasses but
sense.
not Kelly's now. So now the defense is moving for a mistrial.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. There's a motion for mistrial, stand trigger.
I want to make sure I understand. A motion for mistrial is based on the jurors rescinding their request?
That's the way I understand it.
Well, it's based on the fact that we did not provide them the two statements at the same time, and now a request has been made to rescind, the request to see one of them has been rescinded.
Ellie's team's third motion for a mistrial is probably going to get denied, but they're not too happy about that being read.
It's the fact that the court denied our motion to read them at the same time, and now that has resulted in them rescinding with a request for one, so that's the basis.
Motion denied. All right, so what I'm going to do then is,
Motion denied instantly.
it states, what if we can't come to a decision, question mark. Everyone is stuck on which side they've chosen. Are you telling me, both sides telling me that they interpret that the jury is deadlocked? It doesn't say that to me. It says, what if we can't? It doesn't say we can't come to a decision.
I think they are deadlocked. I disagree with the judge. He's saying that what if it happens like in the future, like what if in a day or 2 or 3 days that we're deadlocked and no one can or come to a decision. I think they're already saying they're already deadlocked. Like that's the way that's worded.
We're stuck in our respective camps, so that's
Man, free my dog, bruh. Free my dog.
They agree, so the indication there that
So if both sides agree,
No one got that-
this is
no one got
interpreted
that
as
gun.
deadlocked, and they're stuck. Is that what you're telling me? Both sides agree with that?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Then I'm going to read the Allen charge. I mean, there's not modifying it. That's a standard that's been around for 40, 50 years.
The judge just said he's going to read them the Allen charge instructions, which is a set of instructions tries to help a deadlocked jury to get through it and come to a decision, pretty much. That's what that is. And he's not going to modify any of it because I think it's been around for like 50 years or something. So
Are we allowed to have Apple Watches? Someone has one. Does anyone have an Apple Watch? Yes or no? In their possession? I asked the question. Does anyone have one? No. I see everybody raising their hands or several raising their hands showing they don't. All right, there's no Apple Watch.
So they didn't have an Apple Watch, or they're lying. Whoever saw one was tripping, and it wasn't an Apple Watch.
Jury deadlock 4.1. I know that all of you have worked hard to try to find a verdict in this case. Might make it hard to see all sides of it. We are all aware that it's legally permissible for a jury to disagree. There are two things a jury can lawfully do: agree on a verdict or disagree on the facts of the case. There is nothing to disagree about on the law. The law is as I told you. If you have any disagreements about the law, I should clear them up with you now. That should be my problem,
Okay.
not yours. If you disagree over what you believe the evidence showed, then only you can resolve that conflict, if it is to be resolved. I have only one request of you. By law, I cannot demand this of you, but I want you to go back to the jury room, then taking turns, tell each of the other jurors about any weaknesses of your own position. You should not interrupt each other or comment on each other's views until each of you have had a chance to talk. After you have done that, if you simply cannot reach a verdict, then return to the courtroom, and I will declare this case mistried and will discharge you with my sincere appreciation for your services. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now retire and continue with your deliberations.
That's so intense, dude. If there's a mistrial, that it will be ridiculous. I basically watched this live today, and literally 5 minutes ago, the judge sent the jury home for the day, and they're going to be doing this every single day. So I think even on the weekend, they're deliberating.
And we'll be on, let's say, a half-hour notice. Is that different?
Bro, so you tell me that they'll have to have a whole nother trial? That don't make sense, though. A whole nother trial. Based upon them not being able to come up with the answer. That's insane, bro. That
For everybody?
I think he just said they're going to give out a half-hour notice. So if there is a verdict, they're going to give out a half-hour notice to both sides and be like, you have a half hour to be here for the verdict to be read. All right, that's it for day 18. It looks like we pretty much have a deadlocked jury, which could result in a mistrial. That would be fucking wild. I think they'll get through it and they'll figure it out, and one of the sides will succumb to the rest. Sadly, that's how it kind of goes because it has to be unanimous. So say there's like 3 out of the 12 that are saying he's not guilty. They're going to slowly just succumb and say, all right, fuck it, he's guilty. Kind of crazy how that works, but that's our court system right there. Yeah, I'll keep coming there. Subscribe right now if I'm on Twitter, Instagram. Peace out.
so they have to all so they had to all agree upon what? They had to all agree upon it being guilty or not guilty. There are probably a couple of jurors that brought the 80 testimony, which is crazy, but hear me out. The rebuttal glass testimony, I had to remember because they had to conclude that it was in direct conflict with the defense, only witnesses. So you rule out 80 and the defense literally just has one. Police will stop you in a couple ways. Too many switches cars out there appears, but if you rule out AD, you got nothing supporting that. In fact, you have the murderer messaging Melly's mom, Fredo calling his girlfriend, on and on, realizing the alibi story. That Stewart made up his clothing arguments means that the murderer returned the phone to Melly. The phone goes back to Melly that day. So to say that the murderer just took Melly's phone is incredibly ridiculous because it wasn't disposed of. We had the phone. We all saw it in the child bag. Gesture can be relied upon if they weren't even paying attention to the involved. It's wild to be anonymous committed to do murder, but only 8 out of the 12 needed for a death penalty. If there's a deadline, that means some of these people clearly think Melly's innocent. If they flip to guilty, in my opinion, it's only because of pressure and or wanted to go home. And that's facts. And that's facts. And that's facts. That'd be crazy. Imagine you getting a death penalty. Imagine you getting hit just because somebody is just like, I'm just tired, bro. I'm just tired of this, bro. You had to be here for 5 weeks. Do you get paid for this? You being away for 5 weeks is insane. These got to be all retired people or something. Even the chance at a hung jury right now is a miracle for Melly. Unfortunately for him, this is far from a win yet. A retrial means he's likely to stay in jail and has to go through another few weeks of court. Even if the state doesn't bring new evidence, a retrial doesn't favor the defense. All it does is give the state a better opportunity at catching the defense lacking. The longer it goes, the higher the chance of a slip-up from Melly. That's a fact. Pursuing the death penalty with such little evidence was a mistake. They don't get at least the penalty is only life. Life. Can you blame them from getting drama? It was hard to listen to the same thing. Almost like the call laws almost painful. Man, that's a fact, bro. Like, ain't no way I'm gonna remember the exact names of the people. Like, why, bro? I really don't even like. Do it matter, bro? Like, do it honestly matter? Like, it really don't, in my opinion. I'm gonna be completely honest. We gotta listen to this again because this was tough.